Hi, it's Jeff Alpin, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. I like to spend about a half hour on Tuesdays at noon Eastern answering questions from people about job search because I believe it doesn't have to be as hard, difficult, painful, or take as long as it does. It's just the skills needed to find a job are different from those needed to do a job. And most of you are competent in what you do professionally, but job search is a completely different skill. It does explain a lot of the reasons why people struggle finding work. So I'll just simply say, put your questions about job search into chat so I can answer it live. I don't bite. I'm actually very polite on the show, and I'd love to help you. And as I start off today, I want to talk about the jobs report that was issued on Friday that pointed to an increase in unemployment, a tenth of a percent. But the thing that really didn't get noticed is what the nature of jobs is right now that are being created. What's being created in the United States are not jobs for college educated professionals. Generally, and again, there's an exception here with government work and government um, adjacent work, but it's generally for non college educated professionals. Now, government work is not what a lot of you tend to think of what you want to do. And if you're out of work looking for work, it takes a long time to get. There's a different style of resume that you need to have. The interviews are different than what you're used to. I don't consider myself expert at this. I have interviewed experts for my YouTube channel at jobsearchtv.com about federal resumes and federal interviews. However, I'll just simply say it's a different kettle of fish and takes time. Believe it or not, even more time than private sector work does. So I'll just simply say, I didn't see a lot of hope for people who were on LinkedIn who were looking for work in this report. What I saw were, again, the usual government and government adjacent jobs, healthcare. Any of you work as doctors, nurses, professionals like that? Probably not. I saw things for leisure and hospitality. So if you're a waiter or a bartender, there's plenty of jobs out there. But I didn't see things for college educated professionals in the report. At least not much. There was like some stray things, like there was the beginning of a recovery in IT, or as it calls, information jobs. But it's a small amount by comparison to the large number that have already been cut. And if you were previously cut, you've been sitting around for a while waiting for this crumb. The report doesn't tell you where the jobs physically are. For all we know, they're in a small city in a out-of-the-way place in the center of the United States that you'd have to move to, but we don't know where they are. And if you're in one of those places, do you really want to move to New York if that's where the jobs are? So it's complicated. I didn't look closely at the U6 rate because most of the time people are looking at the headline number, which is U3, but the U3 did not look good if you're a college educated professional, I'm sorry to say. I wish it were different, but it is what it is. So I'll just simply say, if you need help, contact me through jobsearch.community. Now, I've got free information there, by the way. Again, jobsearch.community. I've got free information on the homepage that can help you. And if you decide to become an insider member, you get all my video courses, books, and guides. Plus, you can ask me questions through the site and get answers from other members. In addition, if you become an Insider Plus member, you get all of that, what I previously mentioned for insiders, plus we get on a couple of Zoom calls a month. And if you become an Insider Premium member, everything that I've mentioned up until this point, plus we do individual or group coaching. The rates are currently $49 a month for an insider, $79 a month for Insider Plus, and $1,000 a month for Insider Premium service. Now, if you want an hour of my time, we can arrange for that too. Message me through LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. And, I'd love to help you. Now, I received a bunch of questions, but I'm just going to say to you, put your questions about job search into chat so I can answer them live. Now, the first question I received was, is it true that a resume shouldn't be more than 2 pages long? Two and a quarter, 2 1/3, nothing more than that. And if you're asking this question, you're probably sufficiently junior that it may need to be 1 page or 1.5 pages at most. Remember, the focus has to be on your more recent work, not the stuff from your personal antiquities. If you're someone with a lot of experience, like many years of experience, the emphasis has to be on the last 10 years or so, not on the stuff that you did, let's say, when George Bush was president. That's W. Bush, the former president from Texas, not his father. Not to include stuff from the Reagan years, the Bush the elder years, even the Clinton years. Who cares about what you did back in the Stone Ages? What they care about is stuff that you've done more recently. So you need to optimize that and connect the dots between what you've done and what they're looking for. They don't care about what you've done as a totality. They care about what you've done that relates to what they need. So emphasize that as you create your resume. And implied in that is you need to tailor your resume for a job that you're applying to or networking your way into so that they can see the fit between your experience and what they need. Remember, they have a problem that needs to be solved. They're hoping you're the solution to it. And to be asked out on a date, which is what an interview is like, you want to be asked out on a date, you have to demonstrate that you're handsome or good looking so that they want to do that. And that's what the resume is designed to do, get you asked out on a date. From there, you obviously have to connect the dots between your background and what they're looking for. Again, but this is a question about the length of a resume. If you're a veteran individual with a lot of experience, 2 pages, maybe 2 1/4, maybe 2 1/3. Primarily, if you're like in a quantitative field, that's okay. They don't want to read 6 pages about you because they won't. Remember, they're looking at stuff on a screen. They're not looking at a sheet of paper. They want to see things within 1, maybe 2 page downs at most. And beyond that, they're not going to look because they don't have the time. So your goal is to make the fit obvious, right? And if you don't do that, they're just going to go to the next person because that's what human nature tells them to do. So thank you for posing this question. Let me see what the next one is, and I'll put that into chat. Bear with me 1 second. Do employers typically contact previous employers when they state they may contact your current or past employer on job applications? Sorry, I didn't put that up. There we go. The answer is what they're doing is giving themselves permission and letting you know that they will check your references. That's what they're telling you. Now, what they're hoping to do is scare off people who might have a problem with their references. So that in this way, you know that they're going to do a background check. They're notifying you of this. And if there's a problem, maybe you withdraw. Because from their standpoint, that's the easiest set of circumstances for them. On the other hand, if your references are great, you want them contacted, right? Because they provide a testimonial for you about your competence and your personality and all that other sort of stuff. So, will they typically contact previous employers? A definite maybe. That's what it is. A definite maybe. Depends on the size of the firm. It depends on how desperate they are. A whole bunch of stuff. But I can't give you a statement of certainty. All I can do is interpret their notification of you as to what their intention is. And that's to try and scare off problems. Okay? I had a job interview on Friday that went well. Surprisingly, they turned me down, telling me that it was difficult to do so, and they offered me the job for next year. What should I do? It's March as I'm recording this. Can you afford to stay out of work till next year? Of course not. And if you can, I want to see your bank account as to how you're pulling this off, because obviously you're independently wealthy and good for you. And there's no guarantee that they will circle back to you. After all, the person who said this may be long gone and you're sitting around waiting for the contact that's never going to come because there's nothing on their side that has committed them to hiring you. Now, if they give you an offer letter and a start date for next year, all bets are off. You can sign up, take a vacation, take a temp assignment, whatever it is, until they circle back on that start date for you to come on board. But if I were you, I would smile and say, thank you, that's great to hear. Will you put an offer letter in writing to me to that effect? And they'll say, no, we're not going to do that. Oh, okay. And don't say anything else because you now know that you don't really have an offer. So keep looking for a job. File it away in the back of your mind. Let's see if they ever come back to you. I would be shocked if they did because there's no commitment on their part to do so. That's the fact of it. They haven't really extended you an offer. They've extended you hope and possibility. But, I'm going to go back to the dating metaphor. I'd like to marry you next year. Great. Where's the ring? Okay. Not quite yet. I want to date for a while more. But yeah, I'd love to marry you in a year if you're still available. And that's what they're really saying. If you're still available, maybe if we remember, if it pops up on our calendar, we'll wind up getting back in touch with you. But just simply say, great, could you give me an offer letter to that effect? They won't. And that's everything that you really need to know. Okay. Now, I'll just remind you, if you've got a question about job search, put it into chat so I can answer it live, okay? What is meant by internal recruitment and external recruitment? I'm not going to give you examples. I'm just going to define it. Now, there are two possibilities on internal recruitment. One possibility is they look for people internal to an organization to fill a position. That's one possible definition. Another possible definition is they're a corporate recruiter who fills jobs. And as such, the difference is pretty striking between the two. One locates exceptional talent that might fill a position within an organization. The other one is the internal employee of an organization that is involved with screening, evaluating talent that gets interviewed by a lot of people before being hired. External recruitment, well, it could be the person who works to find people outside of the organization, or it could mean a third-party recruiter, depending upon the part of the world that you're in, and how they language things, because different parts of the world describe things a little bit differently. So I'm trying to give you the two possibilities for each, because that's what you're asking me for. What does it mean? And I'm just trying to give you an answer for that, okay? I've got more questions, and let me come back here. Good. How do you know you are not, there we go, getting a job in an interview? So it starts off with, you know that from the way you answered questions and whether they responded in a way where they thought that you were qualified or not. Did they smile? Did they smile because they thought your answers were ridiculous? Is their manner such where they seem engaged or disengaged? A disengaged hiring manager is not going to hire you, right? They're not interested. They're showing it with their behavior. So, those are two simple things. Now, at the end of the interview, when you're talking about, when you might hear from them about next steps, if they're fairly abrupt as they answer your questions, they're not interested. So I'll just simply say their behavior tells you a lot about their interest or lack of interest. So I'll just simply say, put yourself in their shoes. You've got decent instincts. Use them to your advantage, because the fact is, you know the truth. You know whether you're hitting on all cylinders with them or whether you're just coming across as average or worse. Generally, especially in markets like this, average people are not being brought on. So, again, just trying to be courteous here. You know the truth of these situations. You know when you're not clicking. What are basic preconditions and requirements an applicant must possess to get a response from employer companies? Which are basic preconditions and requirements an applicant must possess in order to get a response from employer companies? The simplest thing I can say is something that demonstrates that you fit the criteria that they have established for someone to be qualified to do the job they have available. That's always starts off with it. Or they are introduced to you by someone who tells them who they believe is competent enough to evaluate you and can tell them that, hey, Jeff can really do this job. I saw him work at this firm. He was terrific. Let me tell you some of the things he did for them and how that could plug into your role. See what I mean? The basic thing starts off with someone, including you or your resume, helps to connect the dots between what they need and what you can deliver for them. Everything else is BS. And I did a YouTube short today over the notion of hire for attitude, train for skills, and how that's BS. The fact of the matter is they hire for skills and attitude, not one or the other. The standard logic is they should hire for your attitude. No, it's not good enough. You can be the nicest person, the hardest working person in the world, but you can't solve the problem. Why would they want to hire you? Because you have a good attitude, right? No, it doesn't work that way. They want both skills and attitude. Let's go to the next one. I applied for a job, but the company wants me to interview for a different vacancy they have, which I have no experience in. Why is that? Well, the probability starts off with they may have filled the position and they forgot to take down the requirement from whatever service they used that you applied to. And the reason that they're suggesting you interview for this other role is, well, we got it open. Maybe he can do this job. And you may not have experience in it. Maybe you have education or training, and that's going to be good enough, we hope. And They're all they care about is filling a job. If the hiring manager is willing to take you on board, that's good with HR. But the probability is HR screwed up and left the job up. You applied. They're trying to be accommodating to you, given the mistake that they made, and thus they're trying to get you an interview with a hiring manager. We both know it won't work out, but hey, go along with it. Why not? Why wouldn't you go along with it? Okay. I'm just going to remind you that if you've got a question about job search, put it into chat so I can answer it live. Okay. And I'm just going to take a quick peek over at LinkedIn because sometimes stuff from LinkedIn doesn't come over to me in a timely manner. So I just want to see if there's anything that someone posted there at Career Coach office hours for March 12th. Bear with me 1 second. I just have to check the feed to see if there's anything there. No, I'm not seeing evidence that someone has posted. So um, thank you for your patience. See what the next question is. Is it a bad sign if the interview was short? Use their language. If the job interview is really short, the answer is usually yes. Usually it means this is a courtesy interview, or they took one look at you and their bias shone through and they're not interested. Or there's no good that comes out of it. If they said we're going to have a half-hour interview and go there for 5 minutes, they're not interested. You know that. You know that's a bad sign. It's what they're telling you. Oh, sorry, job got filled, forgot to cancel the appointment. I'm giving you a courtesy interview that is not really an interview. All it is something perfunctory that lets them check the box. "Oh, we did the interview and move on from there." So, just in case someone thinks, well, we knew about him, we knew about her, and we want to hire them, that is so much the exception. It is not the norm. So I'll just simply say the probability is they are not interested. We don't know the reason. I can only guess. And the rude reason I can offer is they took one look at you and decided in their own biased way you would not fit into their organization. One example, a person with a nose ring interviewing for a job at a very conservative firm where you're going to be public facing, or the partners only want people who look and act a certain way, and you aren't. Those things exist, and I know you know this, but just in case you don't, I use that as an extreme example as to why someone would have a short interview and nothing ever comes from it. Okay? The recruiter for a job, so, um, yeah, the recruiter for a job I was interviewed for told me that the technical interview will be skipped. What does this mean? It can mean a couple of things. The most optimistic one is they've back channel checked you, or you were referred by someone who were tested being qualified, and they want to move ahead and move forward beyond the technical. It may also mean you stank up the joint sufficiently with the recruiter. There's not going to be a subsequent interview that's going to happen. But we're masking this in the notion that no technical interview is going to be necessary. And that's good, of course, because you're not qualified. You said something stupid in the interview. Whole litany of reasons. So I'll just simply say there's many possibilities between those two extremes, and we can't really tell. I can't really tell which of the many myriad of possibilities we can do. But usually, when they're passing on the technical and you're in a technical field, they're just not going to interview any for that. I'll just remind you, visit jobsearch.community. There we go. Jobsearch.community, where I have free information on that can help you with your job search. One of the files I mentioned that's there is the one on elevator pitches, which I used to hate them. I hated giving them. I hated receiving them. I always felt I needed to take a shower afterwards, whether I was saying it or hearing them. But this model doesn't make me feel. I'm very comfortable saying mine, and I encourage you to develop one that follows this framework. It's easy. It may take you a little time to think about it. The thing I like about it in particular is it's truthful. You don't have to feel like, ooh, I'm saying something easy. I don't like this feeling. Ooh, because you're lying. I don't encourage lying. Just very simply, you know, go there, follow the model, and there's other information that's available for free. And as I mentioned before, I have 3 tiers of service, all of which can help you as a job hunter find your next role more quickly. And 2 of them are very inexpensive. I may do one after this. It depends on how long you wait on this. What's the best question to follow up with someone who came across my LinkedIn profile, asked for my CV for an opening politely? It's been a few days. I didn't receive any further messages. Now, I'm going to assume that you had a conversation with them and you haven't heard from them since. Let's say it's been 5 business days. I would contact them and say, because this is going to be out to tell you the truth. You just simply say, would it be fair to assume the client isn't interested in my background? You like that one? Is it fair to assume that your client isn't interested in my background? Oh, no. They've been on vacation. No, I haven't been able to reach them. They've been in meetings. Whatever it is, you now know something more. Um, Usually, if they're competent, they'll tell you the truth about what has been transpiring and why it is um, they have not communicated their client's interest or lack thereof. And I'm going to assume the worst because when I worked in recruitment, that's what happened almost all the time. Every once in a while, we would have an exception, but usually it was all the bad situations that came through. Okay. We've got this is going to be my last question, unless someone puts something in the chat. And thus, I can ask, what is the significance of the recruiter calling after an interview and saying you'll be in touch with a decision soon? Well, I would expect one of a couple of possibilities. One is the literal one. They haven't heard anything yet, and they'll be in touch once their client has made a decision. It could be a corporate recruiter talking about their internal client. It could be an agency recruiter. Doesn't make any difference. They'll be in touch when they have feedback from their client. That's certainly one thing. The next thing is they could be trying to get you to wag your tail because they think something good is going to happen. The next call would be one where they're trying to get a flavor for what salary you would find acceptable to join their client firm or to join their organization. So both are possible. There are a million possibilities between those two extremes, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for you that this all turns out for the best. Good luck with that. So I hope you found today's show helpful. I generally stay on for about a half hour. and encourage you to go to jobsearch.community where you can get access to my video courses, books, and guides, have your questions answered, get me on a couple of Zoom calls a month, receive coaching from me, download some free material. There's some great stuff at jobsearch.community. Go there, join, will help you. I will help you. In addition, I'm also going to encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. Just like the line underneath my name, except all one word. The big game hunter. Mention that you watch this. I know that I'm helping some folks. Once we're connected, you'll discover I share a lot of great information on the site. I'm also would say to you, I want to help more people. I hope if you've been watching, you share this on LinkedIn in particular. That's where a lot of people need help. I hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.